Hi, Maddie. Laure,
Hello.
lovely to join you here. Um, in Towards the end of our conversation, you're going to be telling us a little bit about what you're going to be presenting at the Mystech Conference in August with 15 other presenters. You're 16 in total. But before we find out what you're actually going to be talking about at that conference, I'd love it if you'd tell us a little bit about yourself. I actually noticed a detail that I hadn't noticed before, but your website is called Painting with Words, and my website is Way with Words. So
I
we've got
saw that.
something in common.
I saw about something with words.
That's right. So tell me, what do you do? Yeah, you write, you paint. What do you write and what do you paint?
What do I do? Well, I travel a lot. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I have large gardens, very colorful because these, I was going to show you my garden at the end, but I don't know if we have time because they are actually my teachers from way back.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the winter, I'm in the mountains, so I can have the winter experience, which is the total opposite. But it allows me to write because it's just snow, ice, rocks, and my books. So there's the perfect place to write. And then the rest of the time I'm traveling
Mm-hmm.
to wherever I am called to be, which is another story in itself.
I can imagine. Tell us a little bit
So
about
that's
what
about
you.
it. And then in the summertime I paint. Hmm?
Tell us a little bit about what you write
I did.
about.
Oh, what I'm presently working is something on the Balkans because
Mm-hmm.
it's a very interesting area where many different paths or different ways of living are meeting the Muslim world,
Yeah.
which is the whole history in itself. And so I'm visiting all the Balkan countries, which are many mountainous countries, beautiful places, very different. And this in the fall will be my fourth trip.
Mm-hmm.
I was there in April, March, April, and visiting different places, meeting different people, and trying to get a feeling of what is living there and what it means for the future. And then I put it all together using insights from Steiner from his hundreds of lectures,
Mm-hmm.
so that we, and also historians or other people who are more qualified to speak about the history and everything else in those countries. So that's what I'm doing now.
You mentioned there you've been to the Balkans 4 times. What is it? What is it that keeps you wanting to go back there?
Because it's just it's they're small countries, but they're so different geographically and in history. And for example, I'll just take Bosnia, which is next to the border with Serbia.
Mm-hmm.
Serbia is Christian, one type of Christianity. And then you have Bosnia, which is Muslim, but not one type of being a Muslim, which is different from the Muslim world because they became Muslims. It was an incentive to pay less taxes. So they became Muslims and they were other. But it's just a mixture of different people from everywhere
Yeah.
and trying to live together. And so that's what I'm examining and looking. Romania, Bulgaria, Montenegro, and Albania, Slovenia, we're at Croatia, Kosovo, all these amazing places which I haven't been to after going far away, like China and everywhere else.
Yeah.
I just thought that I would see Eastern Europe, Southeastern Europe.
Yeah. I
It used to
must.
be called the Turkey of Europe,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, it's a fascinating place, and a lot of tourists are coming there, which is very good. It's creating a living for other people, for the locals.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of interesting things going on, like the Chinese are there in Bosnia, building a huge, god-awful looking highway, which bypasses all the little villages. So to me, it's creating a mess. But anyway, that's some of the things that I witness where the influence of other major countries coming in, which you wouldn't know unless you are there, and then you ask questions.
Yeah. You mentioned there about Christians and Muslims living in the same country in Bosnia. And I remember this is one of my, I'm 54, turning 55 soon. So the Bosnian conflict was there in my late teens. And I was one of the things that, one of the ways in which it really woke me up was how to the importance of good governance, responsible governance, and how quickly like a civilized country or relatively civilized country can descend into complete and utter chaos. And it was especially the scenes around Sarajevo that were made a big impression on me as a young person, that these were people that they used to like walk along the same streets together, they were neighbors, but because somebody in higher command sort of like said it was okay, they ended up like killing each other. And it's one of those shocks to the young system which ends up in a way being a type of life lesson as well, how fragile civilization and order and morality is, depending on who's governing.
It's true. So it's a good thing when you see a lot of tourists coming into these places that have lived such horrible happenings.
Yeah.
So to me, that was the good part, to see that there is a little bit of healing going on right now, and a little bit of just going about your business. But then you have Serbia, and when you get to Serbia, then you have the problems with the northern part, as well as with Kosovo, especially.
Yeah, very complicated in that region.
Yeah.
And what about your painting? What do you do? So you do. I don't want to call them travel guides, books, but so like with deeper insights. And then your painting. What are the type of
Right.
books?
Yeah. I've always been I've just finished a new manuscript, which is probably will be out very soon. It's called Prayers in Paint. The cosmic mission of the artist. It's a book two about painting. The first book is called Touched. And the title comes about because I'm just quoting Ita Wegman when she saw Claude Debuss's painting, and she looked at the painting and said she was touched. Which in English has another meaning, but in any case,
it also has a positive meaning as well.
I realized that. And then but she was touched emotionally. And so I just called that touch because the way that we paint is according to the laws of light and dark. And in the training for this was started by Claude Debussy herself. And in the training we start with light and dark with charcoal. So we learn how to work with charcoals. And that's an extensive training. It takes about 3 to 4 years to go through. But we first start with the charcoal, and then we go on to the paints with layers of paint. So it's a long process. It takes me about a couple of months to finish some of the paintings. I can show you a couple here. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I can, yes.
Okay. My house is a studio, so it's a bit of a mess. Plus I have three grandchildren, 6, 9, and 11. And I'm teaching them how to paint.
Wonderful.
And they're amazing right now. They're very young, but they're painting, and they just do things naturally. So that's so with this painting bit, like I said, I paint from April until September because this requires heat in order for the layers to so I can paint the next one to dry. And in the winter, I can't paint. It's too wet. I just can't. So, and I do other things. But for 4 months, that's what I'm living in colors. And to live, I was going to read something which I think is, I can find it. 16. Well, it just means that when we are painting, I can't find it right now. But in any way, it's by working with colors, we're actually working with color beings, and that's the big difference with the intellectual approach of the past. Now it's in a new way, so that you're aware that when you are in the world of colors, you are in the world of color beings. And that's the most important aspect of this work, that you really know that this is what you're doing. So if you pick the blue or if you pick the red, they're completely different beings. And that's what Déodat taught. And she also said that coming from Steiner, that's what I was going to read, but I can't find it. But in any case, it means that the light is dying. And Steiner mentions that the light is dying, and the only way that they can't do, the spiritual cannot do anything about it. That the light is dying, so it's up to us to live in that light and enliven it. And through colors, we are creating the future. Basically, I'm just saying in a few words what takes many lectures, and that is the work that I'm doing. That by working in this manner, in a little way, I make sure, in my own way, that we have a future, and not the dying of the light. So that's basically what, in a few words, what I'm doing with living with these color beings for months at a time. And in my garden, since they're my teachers through the colors, then I also do the gardening like I do my paintings. If I had time, I would walk out, but we don't. So,
could you try and communicate, because for a lot of people, I'm sure it's difficult to relate to what you're saying about like colours being beings. Anybody outside of Anthroposophy and Rudolf Steiner, with the exception of artists, would really struggle with that type of description. Can you, and you talked about your plants being your teachers, is there any little story or something that you've told before that somehow manages to communicate the profound truth that you're
communicate about how profound this is? Yeah. Well, that's why I write. So to me, talking is quite difficult because it's just so complex. Anthroposophy is extremely complex, and most people now do not feel like they want to bother with that. So because it takes too much time, and it's a world where everything needs to be fast. Yeah. And I just said that just living with the colors, you don't have to know that they're being. You know that how you feel like when you look at colors. So if you can concentrate on the feeling that you have when you walk in a beautiful garden, or you go and buy a nice red dress or whatever color, you know that makes you feel. Or also for women, when you go out and go into your wardrobe and pick something that feels like you want to be wearing today. So that, in a way, that kind of that enhances the power of the color world. It's the same thing with men.
Yeah.
So
I remember the
it
lectures
doesn't matter
on.
one or the other.
I remember the
Yeah.
lectures on the moral aspects where he's getting us to. I can't remember which series this is, but the blue of the sky and the green of the nature. So he deepening into the moral natures of these
Right.
colours as well, which I.
There
Um,
is there is one exercise actually that Steiner mentions for everyone to do, is that when you're, let's say you're going into a garden and you see something that you really like that color, is just to uh, forget the flower and just live with the color that is there, because that's alive.
mhm.
And that's one way of understanding and getting reaching to another level where you take that color out and live in it,
Yeah.
in your imagination. And that's an excellent way to live with colors as a beginning.
Yeah.
And most people do this anyway. That's why we have gardeners, especially in England.
Yeah.
All those country crazy gardeners, but beautiful work.
Yeah.
So
So, and is
yeah.
this what you're going to be talking about at the conference, or are you talking about a different topic there?
Well, I will get a little bit into some more complicated things that I deal with in this manuscript,
Mm-hmm.
about the cosmic mission of the artist, which I mentioned before, the ensouling of the light, and which is done through, well, many ways, but my ways with paintings. And that's what I will talk about, where each is, which I'm looking at here, which is the cosmic mission of the artist. It's not just earthly mission, working on the earth, but it has a significance for our future.
Yeah.
And Claude mentions also that there is now a lot of people who were colorblind.
Mm-hmm.
Many men, they can't distinguish. They cannot see red. And the world is gray. So she says that this is kind of a premonition or something about the future. If we don't live in colors, we don't ensoul the colors, our world is going to be this gray world,
Yeah.
dead, because we are already dead in our, I mean, these people are already feeling the death in their soul, which comes out with that they cannot distinguish the colors. So it's really important for us, for painters, or for anyone else, to live in a world of colors, either by buying paintings or clothes or their homes. Then they are living in something that they're alive, so that we can stop this intellectual, materialistic way of looking at the world, which is dead. So it means a lot for the future to do this kind of work with the colors.
Yeah.
If people don't accept the fact that they are beings, then we just say work with colors. So.
Thanks a lot for adding that level of detail. I do remember, I don't know whether it's 10, 20, 25 years ago, but I remember reading about that in one of the lectures and talking about, it's like in the future, and he's never, or he's rarely specific about like when in the future, which is one of the things that makes it like so difficult. But I remember him talking about it's like the majority of humanity, it's like we'll just have black and white vision. But it now that phrase that's like lived in my memory banks for 20 plus years is beginning to make a bit more sense now that you're starting to connect it to beings and having a living relationship to them. The soul is engaged in that process instead of just like the material senses. So thank you very much. Deeply appreciate
Well,
it.
I think that's the best I can do.
Yeah, good.
Well, good luck. I think it's we've done what 15 minutes or so.
Yeah,
More?
yeah. That's really nice talking to you. I hope it goes well for you. Do you know which date you're presenting? 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th?
I think it's on a Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. Right, I think that.
Oh, you mean in August?
Yes,
Saturday,
exactly.
but it's not in my head right now. But I haven't really looked at it. I think it's in the afternoon, but I have to really look at the time because that's East Coast, West Coast, Europe. So,
well, I'm certainly looking forward to joining you. I'm certainly looking forward to joining you and hearing.
Would you be a presenter yourself?
I'm not presenting. Yourself? No, I'm not. I'm not presenting. No.
Are you a writer?
I do write, but I don't write books. I do videos. I've been doing quite a lot of videos on the philosophy side of Rudolf Steiner with some people, and I'm involved in several groups. But no, I'm not.
Well, I'll have to look at that. Can you find it on YouTube?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I'll
okay, well, I'll look it up.
Okay. Lovely to meet you. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.